Welcome back, everybody, and I welcome back Dan Minc, a premier personal injury attorney, a partner in ROSENBERG, Minc, FALKOFF, and WOLFF, a personal injury law firm. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us again to answer people's questions, to answer what's out there on Google, what people are searching for, legal FAQs. This is what we do. We educate the people. Dan, how are you? Welcome back.
Hey, Michael. Nice to see you, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Then, unfortunately, especially in New York, pedestrians are sometimes in harm's way, get hit by cars, by buses, could be on the sidewalk, could be on the crossing. Let's talk about that. What are some of the elements of such a case? What are possible courses of action? And I understand you had a very interesting case recently with a pedestrian, and I want to hear about that. Then, well, the floor is yours.
Pedestrian accidents are tragic, right? You're talking about a car that weighs 3,500 pounds, 4,500. These SUVs weigh 5,000 pounds. Electric cars now weigh 5,000 pounds. Okay, that's no love tap. Okay, yeah. You're hit by one of these vehicles. I don't care if it's going 10 miles an hour. You're going to be hurt.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, go run into a wall at 10 miles an hour and see how it feels.
Yeah.
So oftentimes pedestrians are hit and they're thrown on the windshield. They're thrown over the car. It's horrible. It's really, really bad. So the first thing we have to know, assuming most times pedestrians involved, they're not in a position to take information. They need help. They need medical help. They're going to call an ambulance, and be taken to a hospital. But once you're in a position, try to gather some facts. Get an experienced pedestrian injury attorney, automobile injury attorney. We've handled hundreds of these, but I'm going to give you what typically takes place. So the first thing you're going to need, because you need medical care. So we're back to who provides the medical care. So the medical care, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong in the beginning. It has to do with something called no fault. All right? No fault insurance in New York State covers your medical benefits and your lost earnings at a minimum to $50,000. That's step one. So even if you don't own a car, yourself and your household, the car that struck you, we have to get to their insurance company. Hopefully the police have it on the report. Hopefully it's not a hit and run that creates all kinds of problems,
right?
Or stolen vehicle or something like that, because that just is a mess and it's unfortunate. And there are many stolen cars in New York. There are many reckless people, and we don't really, God forbid you get involved in one of those. It's really sad. So we're talking about a typical situation where you can identify who struck you. So you're going to have to get an attorney to take the license plate number, to dig on the computers, which is what we do. We find out who the registered owner is, the driver. We get the police report. We do all this for the client. Okay, we don't charge for that. We do all this. And we get to the insurance carrier. Now, we get your no fault filed with you, and that gets you access to medical care. And that's the first thing on your mind. Okay, you're injured. You need medical care. You have lost earnings. You need your lost earnings paid for. So that's step one, and it's helpful to have an attorney to get to the bottom of it and to tell you how to file it and where to file it, because your normal health insurance will not pay until no fault is exhausted.
And by the way, I want to mention we did a video previously where we talked about things to do after a car accident, and we talked also about no fault. So if you want to hear more about how no fault insurance works, what it covers, doesn't cover, please go back and look at our previous videos.
Right. I'm not going to go into detail again, but just to say it's no fault. Now, After no fault, your own insurance will cover the balance.
Mhm.
Most doctors take no fault in New York, many do, so that shouldn't be an issue. So now what about filing a claim?
Right.
Okay, that's where we come in. We bring a claim, a legal claim. That's a lawsuit normally, because if we don't bring a lawsuit, honestly, you're not going to get what you deserve. Okay, the reason you would hire an experienced attorney with a great track record is to get what you deserve. If you
Right.
just want a few bucks, don't hire a lawyer, but you'll never get anywhere because insurance companies routinely ignore the client. Okay, even if you're injured, they ignore you, or they offer you something very, very minimal, and it's the corporate way. They don't respect the individual. It's not like I'm competing against the insurance companies that are going to go to clients and offer them good money. It'll never happen. It doesn't happen.
They're in the business not to pay, like you said before.
Yeah, they're not going to pay. I'm not worried about the insurance company running over to an injured person and saying, don't get a lawyer. We're going to give you what you deserve. No, maybe in Japan, but not in our society. Okay, so you need to fight. You need a fighter. You're going to need someone that has the experience to help you. Okay,
Exactly.
And we routinely file these cases in court, so they know we mean business. We're not going to fold. We're not going away, and you have to develop the case. Now, there's a concept in law in New York that applies. It's called comparative negligence.
Okay, what is that?
So, I'm going to give you two examples of comparative negligence. This week, a client calls, says I was riding a bicycle. He wasn't a pedestrian. He was riding a bicycle, and riding on the right lane. I wanted to make a right-hand turn. I'm going up 8th Avenue. There was a bike lane on the left side for bicycles, but I wanted to make a right turn, and that's on the left side. So I'm riding in a car lane next to parked cars on my right. All of a sudden, a car drives up ahead of me, next to me in the next lane, stops several car lengths ahead. I'm riding my bicycle, and the passenger flings open the door to get out right in my path, knocks me over on the bicycle, flips me over. I get so injured, I need surgery and everything.
Right.
So his question to me is, am I responsible for riding not in the bike lane? So here's where, in New York law, comparative negligence might come to play in that situation.
Okay.
It's called looking at both sides of the coin, right? The coin has two sides.
Always.
Situation. A driver is not supposed to stop in a traffic lane and discharge passengers. Okay, and maybe you could say the bicyclist should have been in the bike lane and then crossed. But it's a comparative situation. No one's supposed to fling open a car door without looking. Okay, and you shouldn't be in a driving lane. You should be able to pull over somewhere. You can't just stop anywhere. Taxis do it all the time, but it's wrong.
Right.
They just do it to make a living because they don't care.
They're in a rush. Rush.
Hey, I want the cab. They'll block the whole roadway. That doesn't mean it's legal or it's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, called comparative negligence. There are many situations where a pedestrian is crossing the street and a car is making a turn, and they both actually have a green light. If you think about it, a car could make a turn, a left turn, it could have the green signal, and the pedestrian could be crossing the street and it could have the walk sign. So who's responsible? That could be comparative negligence, where the driver is saying, oh, well, the pedestrian walked out in the crosswalk, and the pedestrian would state, no, the driver should have seen me. The driver is negligent. That I was in the crosswalk. The driver didn't slow down. The driver didn't stop. So we get situations where it could be 100% for the pedestrian. It could be 90. It could be 70. Could be 50-50, right? So any range of possibilities can occur where the judge and the jury will listen to both sides presented at a trial or negotiated and say, well, we feel that the driver is 80% responsible.
Mhm.
What does that mean? That means that you're still going to get 80% of the recovery.
I see.
Okay. So if you're entitled to $1 million, you get 800,000. All right.
Mhm.
And this happens a lot. It's just called, it's the law in New York. It's called pure comparative negligence. Now, you can still have a claim if you're 80% wrong, we can still get you 20%. Okay.
Which could still be significant, by the way.
Which is on $1 million, it's still 200,000.
Exactly.
Okay. So you would evaluate the entire value of the claim and then assess, you'd get an assessment of what your comparative fault is.
So then I want to stress here this point. It's very important to realize that even if you think, oh, I'm at fault or most at fault for this accident, you should still consult with an attorney, and perhaps there's still a way that you can get maybe not full compensation, but partial yet significant compensation for your injuries. Am I right?
Yeah. Don't assume.
Don't
that
assume.
Don't assume you're wrong, because we can uncover things the other side did wrong
Mhm.
and balance the deck.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that takes a seasoned attorney like yourself.
We dig for reasons on your behalf to argue for you. So believe it or not, we get difficult cases. Difficult cases are the ones that you remember. Difficult cases are the ones that you fought for and lived with, and you have to get creative. Easy cases, they come and go. You know what I mean? It's not much of a challenge. But the challenging cases are incredible, and they make your career. They help the client. The clients are so grateful. So look, New York City, if you've been around the city, it's so easy to get hit as a pedestrian.
Well, Dan, you didn't get all these plaques, top attorney, all these years. You showed me for a cover of magazine. You're a top personal injury attorney in New York for 2022.
Yeah, we did pretty well. This is the cover of the 2022.
Exactly. You don't get that for simple cases. You get this for challenging cases, right?
So we've been recognized as super lawyers for 10 years in a row. We've had top verdicts, top 10 verdicts with Automobile Litigators Hall of Fame and the New York Law Journal. We've been around for 100 years. We're celebrating our 100-year.
Congratulations on your storied career, all the achievements, and we thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. But also, please share with us. You had a very interesting case, great success.
You
told me off camera. Let's hear about it.
You talked about pedestrians, right?
Yeah.
So I told you about a bicycle, but we have a case that's so tragic, and we're gonna get this family millions. So our client is getting out of a subway stop in Brooklyn on Grand Armory, and he's walking on a pedestrian plaza, which is between two roadways. I think it's King's Highway, and a New York City bus is pulling into a bus stop and hopped the curb a little bit, right? Just maybe a foot, just hopped the curb enough for these giant rearview mirrors that hang off the side of a bus, to whack a light pole. Snapped the light pole, and it was swinging around on the wire and knocked them in the head.
Oh my God!
And wound up killing our client, unfortunately.
Oh no!
So horrible, a terrible story. So that's an indication of a pedestrian, right? You're still a pedestrian. He's a pedestrian, and it's still involving an automobile, and it's still an automobile case. So the family, it's so unbelievable. But here, fortunately for the family, the New York City Transit Authority, they have the insurance to cover the kind of judgment we are seeking. The
Yeah.
justice, we are seeking the compensation for the family. So
By the way, here it's zero fault from the pedestrian.
Right.
They did
That's
nothing
an
at all to
example.
deserve this.
that's an example of zero fault, okay?
Mhm.
We've got other tough ones, but we've got I'll talk later about a $5.5 million motorcycle case
Mhm.
where there was only an offer of $100,000. I want to talk to you about that at a later video because it's
Yeah.
too long here.
Yeah,
but
I actually love hearing these success stories because they bring law to life. It's you can talk about different legal topics, legal theories, but when you hear exactly how it all came together using your litigation skills, that's when it gets really interesting and inspirational, and it serves as a model for others to see what could be achieved with the right attorney. So Dan, thank you so much for this presentation on pedestrians. Unfortunately, it happens. So we have to be prepared. We have to know what's out there. What are the types of compensation available? We appreciate for your time, of course, Dan. We appreciate the time of our listeners, of our viewers. And you made it so interesting for us and yet so simple that we're going to bring you back for more sessions on personal injury law in New York. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Thank you.